welcome to Where Clay Meets Yarn, episode 5. Today is October 15th.
This is Charan from Creative with Clay.
And I'm Nancy Torrance from Schmutzarella Yarns.
In all that starting, I messed up my stitches. I knew I should have stopped knitting before our introduction.
Oops.
Okay, let's continue to talk.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm not editing this out.
I think it's great. This is an excellent way to start our podcast.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I'm gonna be so confident in doing this because it's like, I'm just doing a simple stitch. I'll be fine. I don't need to stop my knitting to introduce myself. And the very next stitch I do, I'm going like, no, was that supposed to be a purl stitch?
See, and that's why I said before we started, let me get past my stitch marker and then we can go.
And that's what made me think cocky. I said, she needs to get past her stitch marker. I'm fine.
Uh-huh.
Nope.
So, did you fix it?
Yes, I did. I had just done, I'm doing a 2-knit, 2 purl, and I just landed up doing a knit and a purl and a knit and a purl right after the other. Because, we are starting to record suddenly, so need to goof up right away.
So immediately I need to entirely change what I was doing.
Yeah.
So you're doing 2 knits, 2 purls. That means you're working on your socks?
Yes, I am. I made some serious progress on them.
Ooh. Wow.
Check it out. I'm past the heel.
Yeah, you are. I think you're probably past where I am on mine.
Yeah. This is what happens when you find a show like Squid Games.
You're just obsessively knitting while you watch people die.
No, or because I might die if I don't finish this.
Oh, geez. Phone. Phone. You might die if you don't finish it.
That's what I think. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching the show. I usually don't enjoy that much gore and death and horrific stuff, but just having a background of kids games as a background kind of makes it okay to watch that kind of stuff for some reason. And I did binge watch and watch the entire thing. And
so you did finish it?
I did finish it. It has a great ending, and there's full scope of another season. So I look forward to that. And hence, there was quite a bit of knitting done on this sock.
I'm glad it helped you with your knitting.
Yeah, I'll post close-up pictures of this because it has been like every stitch feels like a different color on this, and it has all the colors in it.
Oh, that's cool.
But at the same time, it doesn't feel muddy, which I thought. No. And I thought the stitch pattern, like, why even bother putting a stitch pattern? But I kind of like the overly speckled look, even though you cannot see the stitch pattern much, but there's something going on, which I like.
I really like the little pool of flashing that you have across the top of the sock at your heel.
Yeah. It's fun.
That's nice. Yeah, I have barely made any progress on my sock, it feels like. I don't know where it was last time. I was at the heel last time.
I think you were past, you finished your heel, right?
I finished the heel, and I got a couple rows past that last podcast. So, I have some height to my sock.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. But after telling you that, no, we don't need to finish these in October, I heard me say that and went, oh, hey, Nancy, guess what? We don't have to finish these in October. There's other things I could be doing. So the whole point of wanting to start them, other than you goading me into doing Socktober with you, was I needed new mindless knitting for my needles that's more portable than the baby blanket. And so I'm like, so I'm blasting through these socks and then going, wait, but what about when I actually need mindless knitting? How about I save it for that? And while I'm at home, work on the things that are more complicated. Yeah, with the baby blanket, that's what I'm knitting on today. I've gotten a bit more done.
Yeah.
So I'm
like
cruising right along.
Colors are coming. And talking about baby blankets, I made progress on mine as well. I went past one of your entire morphing mini set.
Yay!
So I am totally done.
Wow.
With the red, and I moved on to the black.
I love
which
that.
is the ghost of Mrs. White.
Yeah. No, Mrs. White's demise.
Oh, Mrs. White's demise. And so yeah, the first mini skein is done. I'm on the second one, which I might switch to while we are chatting since the yarn is there, but I'm enjoying the socks too. So
that's good.
Yeah. The one thing that happened is I think this project is really good if somebody wants to knit a baby size blanket with 2 sets of your morphing minis and a single skein of a worsted weight yarn, and hold your morphing minis doubled and hold those. I would just reduce the repeat by 12 stitches. I just would not do one additional repeat. And it would be enough. Like, I'm going to be short of only 10 grams.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad. So if I would have not done one repeat, I would be totally fine. So I'm just substituting one of your other yarns, Butterbeer, which is very similar and is actually in that row with some sparkle, but it's barely noticeable in our fancy cameras. But so yeah, I think it's a great project for a baby blanket.
The more you knit on that, the more I am tempted to make a sample for my booth out of it.
Yeah, I would tell you like, oh, you can have this as a sample, but oh, Gomez is very excited.
I think there's a cat outside and he's just been in a mood.
Yeah, even before we started, there was a lot going on with him.
He's rambunctious today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you. I know. Yeah, he's staring at me like, what?
Yeah.
Oh man. What were we talking about?
We were talking about
the
sample.
blanket.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking it would be really cool to have that as a sample, as a blanket and a scarf.
Yeah.
Because the scarf is really neat too. And I was thinking stripe it every 2 rows and do 2 packs of morphing minis going opposite directions.
Yes.
I think that would be really neat, in all of my free time.
Yeah. Talking about booth samples, how is the mystery knit along coming along? I know you had a setback, but then you pushed past it, right?
Yes. So Charan totally won and got me to start knitting the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along shawlography. And I was doing really great. And the first section is these wedges of short rows. I guess technically that's the second section, but whatever. 9 wedges. And I got through 7 of them and then was like, wait, why do I have all of these extra stitches? And I looked, and in the first section that we're picking up stitches from for the second section, I had accidentally doubled the stitches. It was frustrating. I maybe texted Charan and was like,
and I just replied with, "Oh, you're gonna have so much fun knitting it all over again."
Yeah, he was super supportive. It was great.
Yeah, I always am.
But I got on our late night Zoom group, and they provided emotional support while I frogged the whole damn thing. And I restarted it while we were chatting, and I knit through the first wedge, and I was feeling really good about making progress. And then we logged off for the night after midnight, and I should have put my yarn down. I know better than that. But instead, I decided I really wanted to finish that section, and I just had a couple more rows left. And while I was picking up the short rows, they're German short rows, I was picking up one of the wraps, and I dropped the stitch.
Oh.
And you can't just pick that back up.
Yeah, what is it about the German short row? Like, it's so easy to do. It's nicely hidden in a garter stitch. Like, everything is great about it. But if you drop that thing down, it's just like, it feels like, why do I have so much yarn hanging out here?
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden you have these 2 loops that had been linked together.
Yeah.
That are now like doing this kind of thing. And no.
And no matter how much you twist it, it just kind of like doesn't want to be a stitch anymore.
No. And of course, the stitch that I dropped was 2 stitches of unicorn blood, as opposed to a stitch of unicorn blood and a stitch of another color.
Oh, yeah.
But it was 2 of the same, so I couldn't tell them apart. So at 12:30, I frogged. I didn't have to go all the way back to the beginning this time, so that was good, but I frogged that whole wedge. So all of that said, this is spoilers if anybody hasn't seen Clue 1 yet, but I have now completed 4 wedges out of 9. It seems to be going smooth. I am becoming a pro at knitting these wedges, let me tell you. But I'm really excited for when it blocks. Because look at how pretty it is when it stretches out.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. And Clue 2 dropped today, and I've already looked at spoilers, and clearly Stephen West is doing something strange with the shaping, which surprises no one. But I'm still liking the look of it. I'm excited to get to Clue 2. I'm excited to keep knitting on it. I think it's going to be fun, and I think it's going to be a good sample.
Yeah.
But I was really hoping to that was why I set down my sock, was I was hoping to just blast through Clue 1 and then today on the podcast be like, look what I did.
No, never works like
that's
that.
what I get for being cocky, right?
I think that's what the theme of this podcast has become.
That's what I get for being cocky. Yeah.
But I haven't started on the mystery knit along. There weren't, my defenses said there weren't enough comments to tell me to start it, like we had asked people to do. So either people didn't watch the podcast or they didn't find it necessary for me to do the mystery knit along. So I haven't started. Simple
I find
as
it
that.
necessary for you to do the mystery knit along.
But you should have commented then.
Just watch. I'm going to put like 50 comments on our last video.
Okay, fine.
And this video. You'll get all these notifications.
Might do it. I might knit it. I need to figure out my yarn choices, and then I will. Because it is looking really neat,
And it's been so fun
and I wish
without
I
the
could join in
frogging.
on the mystery, but maybe at a later date I will knit it.
Yeah. I think it'll be good. And clearly at the rate I'm going, I'm going to be knitting it well after the mystery is over.
Yeah.
So let's see. I did make, oh, well, I forgot to grab my haunted house progress. But I didn't make a whole lot of progress on it this week. I got part of the tower roof done, the little swoopy triangle-y bits. So that was good. I will insert a picture for that. But I did come back around to working on the Halloween wreath.
Oh,
So
yes.
I finished the boot.
Oh, that's so neat.
I
see
it.
something shimmery on it.
Yeah, the sequins.
The sequence, yeah.
Yeah, the whole wreath, all of the pieces have the sequin outlines on it. I love the stripes though.
Yeah, the
Stripes of the
stripes.
sequins make me happy. And let's
they're
see
such perfect Halloween-y socks.
I love the buckle on it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was going to attach it before recording today so you could see the whole wreath. And then I realized I wasn't supposed to do this yet. I was supposed to do the jack-o'-lantern first because the jack-o'-lantern goes under the boot. And so I thought about throwing caution to the wind and just tacking this down anyway and not following the instructions. And then I realized if I did that, like this much of the boot was going to get covered. I was like, oh, that's not worth it. So this is done and waiting to get tacked on once the jack-o'-lantern is done. So that's okay. I had fun working on it though.
That does look really nice. I actually do have a finished object for once.
No way.
I do. And it has been blocked.
Wow. You finished your hat.
I did finish my hat. And it is
shoot.
It's not totally finished. I still have one last woven end. And I just felt it. So it does have a woven end. But that's the other side. So it's, I really totally like both of them. Yeah. I like there are cool colors on this side with a little bit of orange at the top. You have to have orange. And then this also has some really neat jewel tones and some warm tones on top. Yeah. And did you notice this little thing?
Yeah. You have a is it your name? Is it your logo?
It is my name
or your
tag.
Stamp thing?
I got these. Stamp? No, it's not a clay stamp. It's it's this ultra suede thing which is machine washable.
Oh, cool.
And everything, so it looks like a piece of thin suede. And it has my name on it. And I got it on Etsy, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. They actually came from Canada, and they were not very pricey. And you can just send her your image or your text or whatever and the size you wanted. And I think they were like less than $1 each.
Nice.
And I think I got 20 of them or something like that, 20 or 30 of them.
Cool.
And so I really like them. And there were so many color choices you can get them in as well. So I thought it'll be kind of a nice thing to put on some knitwear if I plan to gift it, or quilts or whatever. Just a nicer way to attach my name to it. or
Yeah,
at
that's
least
really
to
neat.
remind that person that's handmade.
Yes.
And I'm still looking for. I was actually had gone on the hunt for looking for a label in which I could put my custom instructions on care, like hand wash or machine wash or lay flat to dry kind of things.
Mhm.
And there are several places who offer that, but I still didn't find anything that I like.
Okay.
Uh, some of them look very generic, manufactured kind of thing, like nothing in that screams handmade,
Yeah.
or so that didn't feel appealing. And then there are so many which offer just symbols, and I'm like, okay, so first the person has to have the patience to Google what those symbols mean in order to figure out, because I don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it wasn't, I couldn't find anything for that, but that somehow led me to these. And then I said, well, I do need something for my name. It wouldn't be bad to have a nice label for the name. So I did get those, but I'm still on the hunt. So if anyone knows of some good labels for, you know, knitwear care or anything, like, for the quilts, it would be machine washable or something. So if there are some good sources for that, that would be nice to know.
Yeah. I don't know of anything like that. So yeah, if you know, throw it in the comments because I'm sure we could both use that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to give, there's one thing, I like to give gifts, and people like to receive them most of the time.
Mhm.
But it would be nice to let them know how to care for them, because if they're not aware, we all have had stories of, you gifted something to someone and they washed it and now it doesn't even fit the baby's doll, you know,
Yep.
because they've shrunk it and or felted it or something else weird has happened to it. So it's kind of nice to let them know. And then if something is machine washable, some people are too scared to use it because they don't know it's machine washable and they just like, oh, we would never use it, it's just kept in the closet. So you don't even want that to happen.
Yeah.
So just having instructions with the garment. And I know it can look kind of tacky, but I hope there's a nicer way to put those instructions on there. So
Yeah. I've always been a fan of if I'm gifting it to somebody who doesn't often receive hand knit gifts from me, because my
mhm,
people who I knit for know what to do with their stuff now because I've trained them.
yeah.
Um, I will include a little note, that has care
Yeah.
instructions on it,
Yeah.
which I have always found sufficient because whoever is getting it now knows what to do with it or whatever. They can
Mhm,
save the tag or not. That's fine. Um, but my horror story was that the very first skein of yarn I ever died.
mhm,
I knit a hat and gave it to a friend of mine who is really great with yarn care and everything. And her several years later, this was
mhm,
11 years ago at this point when I gave it to her. This past spring, she was cleaning all of her, her winter hats and
mhm,
stuff like that, doing all of that before putting it away. And her husband was doing the laundry. And he's used to my yarn things too, but all of my yarn is superwash and her other stuff
yeah.
can go in the washing machine. And he put it in the washing machine. And
Oh,
my very first skein of yarn was not
super
superwash.
wash.
She was so sad. And she was like, I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. I'm the one who usually does it. He was just trying to be helpful. So like that's my thing of if it had a tag, he maybe would have
Yeah.
checked it.
So what else have you been working on?
Um, because of the drama with my mystery knit along, that is mostly what I have been working on. Oh, I finished, in order to start the mystery knit along, I did have to finish my Queen of Hearts shawl. That
Mhm,
is done. I did not bring it over here with me because It looks almost the same as last time. It just has a little bit more border on it. And
Yeah.
I haven't blocked it yet. So when it eventually gets blocked, I'll share it then. But I got that done. I spent forever knitting on the mystery knit along. And I think my last thing that I have to share, because I just don't have much this week, is my diamond painting.
Oh.
Ta-da!
The face is almost all done.
It is. I love the
I've gone down the
eyes.
neck too. That's really
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, I don't have a heck of a lot left.
The
I think
whiskers are so funny.
I love them. I love them. I love how this is turning out. I really
Yeah.
do. So yeah, those are my projects, man. What else have you
Not
been
bad.
working on? You've been doing some quilting and spinning, right?
I've been doing some quilting and some spinning. But before, like end of last week, I think the last time when we chatted, I think I told you, oh yes, I did make a promise I would do a shop update before I put the website up, the podcast up, and I did do a shop update. I really pushed, and that's the reason why the podcast update was a little later because a promise was made in the podcast.
Well, that, and I totally delayed in doing my show notes too.
Yeah, we kind of kept supporting each other that, okay, since you haven't updated the website yet, I won't send you the show notes. And I was like, yeah, don't send me the show notes because I haven't done the website update. But I eventually did. It was good. So most of this week I've been packing orders to ship. I usually do ship them pretty quick, but then I ran out of packing peanuts and I had to go get packing peanuts. I use recycle packing peanuts. So I go to the recycle center and I purchase them from there. I wish they just gave it to me for free because people do dump them away from free, but I understand it's a business that recycles. I don't mind supporting that and getting the peanuts. And I wish I could use something other than packing peanuts, but I haven't found something that would make my pottery survive shipping.
Yeah.
And so rather than just adding to the landfill with purchasing more packing peanuts, I just keep reusing the ones that get dumped off at the recycle center.
Yeah.
So I'd gone there, got a bunch of packing peanuts, and I've been packing orders. And so most of my regular knit mugs have sold out, but I do still have the color stripe mugs, the ones with the fine knit pattern. So fine.
See, that's the fine one. Here's to compare it. Here's one of the big ones.
Yeah, that's the big stitch one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the color stripe ones. I don't have one of those yet.
You don't?
I need one.
How did you sneak out of not having one of those?
Well, I have the holiday mug, which is the finer. No, it isn't. The holiday mug is big stitches too, isn't it?
Yes, it is big stitches.
Yeah, no, it's on my list. I need a color stripe mug.
And I have them in 4 different colorways. I'll put the picture here. The only one I'm sold out of right now is the red and blue one, the honey red and blue. And I'm also going to be doing another glaze firing soon. So hopefully, I think there are a few more in that. So that would be something added on. And talking about mugs added to your cupboards, did you see the picture that Keston sent me of? So Keston is a common friend of ours, for people who don't know. She sent me a picture of all the mugs that she has from me in her new to her kitchen cupboard, and it is such a cool picture. And I'll post the picture here. It just made me so happy seeing all the mugs happily sitting there. And I like seeing pictures of my mugs in use, in cabinets, or in dishwashers, or whatever.
It's so satisfying when you see something that you've made other people actually using.
Using it, yes.
Yes. Things we make are
So
meant to be used.
yes, for sure. And so that was the clay thing that was going on. But then, in addition to that, first was trying to get my spinning mojo back.
Mhm.
I did a spin on the Daedalus Sparrow with the Corgi Hill fiber. I did make additional progress on that. Not a whole lot, and that gradient is so slowly shifting that if I posted a picture, you'd be like, I think that's the same picture he showed 2 weeks back. So I'm not going to bore anyone with another picture of it. The picture I am going to show you is this bat I'm core spinning. The bat is actually not one of mine. It's from Nicole Frost of Frost Yarns, and it's actually two different bats.
Ooh.
And you can see, we'll put a picture in here. And what I'm doing is I'm actually spinning the two bats together. One of them you can see is a real bright electric blue purple, and the other is a reddish brownish purple, a wine
Okay.
red. But I'm holding them both together and core spinning them.
Oh, cool.
So I get like a variegated yarn at the end, and it's not like one color versus the other. This is actually a commissioned project from one of my customers who absolutely loves my art yarn. So I am willing to sacrifice my frost yarn pads for her and actually spin it in the way she wants to use them. She wants a lot of yardage. And each of these bats is 5 ounces, so it's total of 10 ounces.
She's going to get a lot of yardage.
She is going to get a lot of yardage, and she wants a big bulky yarn. So I'm core spinning it, and I'm going to spiral ply it.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's going to have a lot of texture in it, and it's going to have both these colors mixed in together.
That's
So
really neat.
yeah, so that way, that's one way, you can stretch your bat. If, you kind of feel like the colors kind of go together, just hold them together. And especially when you're core spinning, you can flip your fiber around to make one of them highlight and then flip it again and make the other one highlight and get all these different color tones going in it. So that has been some good spinning stuff going on.
Cool.
What
While
else
we're
did I
talking,
say? Go ahead, yeah.
while we're talking spinning, I finished, or I didn't finish. Tweety finished her time here, the traveling sparrow.
Mhm.
And I ended up spinning a total of 2 full skeins and a mini skein of yarn. And I shipped her out on Tuesday. So she was here for about, I think it was 18 days. So I'm really proud of the progress that I made in that time. The 2 skeins I still need to wash, and so I don't have final yardage or anything like that. But that was a fun thing that I did this week.
How
I
many
have not
ounces did you
spun.
get spin in the 18-week time period?
Both braids were 4 ounces. So
Okay.
I spun 8 ounces plus a little bit.
A little bit.
Because I put 5 grams on the community bobbin that everybody who has Tweety is adding to. And I did a little mini skein to try it out, which was probably 5-10 grams.
Yeah. That's not bad, like in 18 weeks, because the sparrow just spinning fine and you in general spin super fine.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the 2-ply that I did first, that watermelon looking one.
Yeah.
I think is a DK weight. So I'm not sure on rough yardage on that because I didn't count the wraps on my Nitty Naughty. But while I was winding up the villain one, which was the green and purple and black one,
Yeah.
that's a 3-ply. I think it's going to be about a sport weight. It looks like I have about 300 yards to it.
Okay.
So I was going for fingering weight. That did not happen, but that's okay. I'm happy with the yarn that came out of it. And now I'm looking at both of them, using them for laying fields.
Why not?
Because everything's a laying field.
Yeah. You should do one of these, the muscle burrow hat. It's nice, plain, mindless knitting.
How much yardage did you use in that?
Oh,
how
I
much
should
yarn?
weigh that. I don't know because I know the pattern requires like 1 skein.
Okay.
So I think it should be enough, but not bad to check that. And I think that would be for a slouchy. And if you're not looking for slouchy, then you don't need that much.
Yeah, I'm more of a beanie style.
Yeah. It is going to be extra warm though, so
great for snowpocalypse days.
yes. And the day I finished it, we had 36 degrees in the morning the next day. I'm like, there is a reason why I make these hats.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a good hat pattern, I think. I might knit another one. It's a good mindless knit for sure.
Good.
And regarding the sparrow and spinning fine, since I usually haven't spun fine earlier, I started spinning fine only after I got the aura, and then I got the sparrow. And on the sparrow, I was able to achieve, much finer yarn. I think what really helped with the sparrow was that I can have like such minimum take up on that, with which I can really, like, the minute I increase the take up even slightly, my yarn gets thicker. And that wheel has such good ability to just fine tune it. So the take up is just barely there, so you can spin fine. So that really helps.
Yeah, it was a nice wheel. I ended up having to ply the 3-ply on my electric eel wheel 6, Liliana. And I was really glad that I ended up doing that, because it meant that I had to get my wheels out again and spin on them, which I was really worried that I was going to have separation anxiety when I sent Tweety off to the next person.
Yeah.
And I still think that I would eventually like one of the Daedalus wheels. I think I want something bigger than Tweety, because than the Sparrow, because the Sparrow is right at a size right in between my Nano and my Eel Wheel 6. So I think I would want something a little bit bigger, but I still love my wheels and I still like spinning on them. So I'm good with mine for now. So that was actually a really huge relief.
Yeah. But I think maybe, the Starling or the Magpie even.
Yeah.
Would be
the magpie,
a magpie is to
so
make
big.
yarn babies, really. It's big.
I'm not at a place where I need to make yarn babies.
Yeah.
I dye yarn. I make my own yarn babies.
No, you color your yarn babies is what you do. No, we are talking about making yarn babies here. So,
sure.
But changing the topic from spinning, I did indulge a little bit more in quilting. And I did one thing. I did a repair this time.
Oh yeah.
And we have a quilt which was made in India, and it's one of our favorite quilts. It was purchased at one of the fancy stores out here, but it is a quilt that was, I think, at Pottery Barn. Yes, it was purchased at Pottery Barn. And we absolutely love the quilt. It's made in India, but very soft cotton. And, it has been going through its wash. It's like 14, 15 years old now.
Mhm.
And finally, it was starting to wear out at the edges. And there were places where the fabric had just like ripped off.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I have a machine. I need to practice my quilting skills. So I went ahead and attached another piece of a bed sheet actually along the edge of it. And I practiced quilting on the sewing machine with it and, handling it's almost a king size quilt.
Oh, wow.
It went so smoothly. I'm so happy with the way the machine handled that and the way I was able, means it was on the edge. So it's not like I was, stuffing the whole quilt in the throat of the sewing machine. But
Yeah.
still, the walking foot really made it so much easier to quilt. I had good control of it, and it made me feel a little confident about, actually quilting my quilt tops rather than
Good.
just, piecing them and going like, it's done. So eventually something will happen with them. But I'll post a picture here of the repair, and I really like it. It's like I feel like it's added so much life to it. Suddenly I'm like, yeah, we can have it for another 14 years.
Yay. I
Right.
love that about repairs.
Yeah. And so I did that, and then I'm still working on that triangle so long, but I'm done making all the blocks I need for it.
Yay.
I think I should have enough for a larger than a twin size quilt.
That'll be your biggest one to date, right?
Yes, because the biggest one I have done is a twin size, which is 48 by 64 inch. And this would definitely be bigger than that. So I'm hoping it'll work out and it'll be fine. But it's going along well. Now it's figuring out how to put the pieces together. And in that process, I started playing around with some shirt fabric that I had. And I made these.
I love that block so much. So
It's
much.
it's so much. It was so much fun to make because these are shirts, and I was still, even though I have cut off the sleeve and a pocket out of it, like they are useless, but I still felt like I didn't want to use the big fabrics right away in making something. So I said, I'm just going to use that little bit of fabric I get from the collars and a little bit from the cuff or whatever, just to see how the colors work together and maybe use one of the pockets.
It's like the bits of fabric that if I thought of turning a shirt into usable fabric,
Yeah,
those are the parts that I would think you would just cut off and not use.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I had planned.
Yeah.
I had cut those off and set them aside. I said, okay, this I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the big pieces. But then I felt intimidated that I'm like, these are such good pieces. I need to think about how to use them. But I said, these pieces I was going to throw. Let me just use those. And I don't know if you can spot them, but like this guy out here, this cream colored piece, like that's
Mhm.
the collar. You can even see the angle of the collar,
Yeah. I love
collar
that.
piece. And it has that arc in it as well, which the piece comes out. It's not like a straight piece that's cut for the collar. It's
Yeah.
a slight curve. So I didn't even cut the pieces small.
Mhm.
I just use them as it is.
Yeah.
And if the pieces were slightly bigger than what were there for the block, so like I made this top section out here. If there was something extra, I chopped that off and then added it out here.
Okay.
But I kind of tried to use all of that. And even in that, I did have some leftovers. So I made like an even tinier block
It's so
with whatever
good.
was left over from that.
Now,
And I also made a small video on that
I was gonna say
on
your
my YouTube page.
subscribers may have already seen that. I know my mom watched it.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she thought it was great. Of a little, you sort of did a little how-to on, or how you did that block and
Yeah.
trimmed it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just this exercise, and I think it's kind of a neat exercise, just to make a random block like this, just to see how the colors that you have picked, how they're going to play together. There is no pattern you're following. You're just trying to match up pieces. So you make kind of a squarish or rectanglish piece.
Yeah.
And again, this is again, you can see, the orange piece out here that again has that collar curve in it. That's because it was pulled out from the collar. And the rest of these are actually the strip which lies below the collar where the label is.
Oh, okay.
So it's like this really thin piece of fabric. So I was like, yeah, I was going to throw that. Might as well use that too.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, I still have no idea what kind of a quilt this is going to make, but I was kind of fine with. I'm like just going to start playing and see where it goes. No pressure on, oh, this has to be a quilt that is king size.
Yeah.
And figure out how to use the pieces. Just make blocks out of it.
Just make blocks. I love that. Well,
and who knows, it might get attached to my triangle quilt too, because the colors kind of go together.
Well, are you using the same shirts in the triangle quilt?
I had initially thought I would, but I had so much of printed fall colors as well, the oranges and reds, and I made a few samples. That's the only reason why I pulled those out, because I said, let me make the samples with this printed stuff.
Yeah.
But they looked so much like leaves and the fall leaves that I'm like, I don't want to use the solid color fabric for that. I kind of like the variation of the leaves almost in that triangle quilt. So I'm like, no, I'm going to use, so it's all print on print, but I think the light colors kind of, read as a single color, and then all the triangles, they have prints in them which look like leaves in them. So
that's cool.
I think I'm going to leave it at that.
Right on.
Yeah.
So it still coordinates if your shirt blocks make their way in. But
yeah, if I put a pocket in the middle of trees,
it'll be your tree pocket. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a tree pocket.
I was thinking of all these weird things to do with a pocket. I was like, oh, there could be notes written in the pocket. And you could just leave that in there. And, if at all some person who gets it later opens the pockets out of curiosity and goes like, hey, there's a note in here.
I love that.
It'll be a good way to actually sign pieces, I think, now. Thinking of it. Put a pocket at the back of your quilt and put your washing instructions in the pocket.
So long as whatever you're putting in it can go through the wash if somebody doesn't get curious.
Yeah. But isn't that a neat idea, though?
I think it is.
Yeah, like put like one square at the back of your quilt, which is a pocket, and it has all the instructions.
See, I was thinking it would be cool to do like for your quilt label, do as a pocket, write a little note, like, a message to the receiver and put that in there. Like whenever I give kids books, I always put a little note on the inside jacket. So something like that would be fun.
Yeah.
Man, I love that idea.
I know. I just thought of it while chatting.
Yay!
I have to actually incorporate it. Then there'll be 10 people who message me, hey, I thought of that first. You're not the first one who came up with it. I'm like, yeah, nothing you ever come up with is the first time you come up with it. Somebody's already done it.
Yep. But that's okay.
Yeah.
We all saw the moment of inspiration.
Yes. And it's funny that our conversation started with me trying to figure out how to get labels with washing instructions in.
You solved your own problem.
I
This is
solved my
great.
own problem. It's just weird to have a big pocket sticking on a knitted item. Like, this is the way you wash me. But for quilts, I think it works.
Yeah, I feel like that works for a quilt. So while we're talking about quilts, I have to share those keen-eyed people in the audience may notice I have two quilts behind me now.
Yes.
This one, well, let's start with this one. I don't know if I've actually talked about this one. I've referenced that it is a quilt that my mom made me of my cat, because I wouldn't ever even attempt to put a Christmas sweater on Gomez. That would be insane. Last year for Christmas, she gave me this wall hanging, and obviously you can't tell in the camera, but he has a little flannel sweater, so it's all soft and fuzzy. And she made me pajama pants out of the same fabric, so we have matching jammies. It's great. And I liked it so much that I hung it up on my background for video chatting and stuff around Christmas last year so I could enjoy it. And I left it up all year because it makes me stupid happy. So enter this one.
Mm-hmm.
My mom saw a YouTube video on how to make the pumpkin. I think it was through Missouri Star Quilt Company. If I can find it, or if I can get her to send a link, I'll put it in the show notes. No guarantees on that one. I try to link everything, but no guarantees on that one. But she saw this tutorial on Monday and was like, Nancy needs this. So on Thursday, when my dad dropped off groceries, she sent along a quilt. And the thing that's really cool about it is all of the pieces of the face are made out of felt and are totally interchangeable with, like, she made me 4 sets of jack-o'-lantern faces. Of course, I had to put Gomez up because, of course. And she said that she would send me some black felt so I could make my own faces. So maybe we'll have changing faces in the background.
That's going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
I think Gomez is going to be a little sad when he discovers that he is no longer just a black cat against a black background. Like, now we can actually see his silhouette.
Now he's going to be an orange cat with black features. That's so beautiful.
Oh God, I hope my cat can't change color. I don't need him to have a chameleon effect. That would be bad. But yeah.
Yay, I've messed up my knitting again. No.
Well, I didn't say anything about it, but a while ago, I definitely started doing seed stitch in the middle of my blanket. And I sat here and I fixed it. We're batting 1,000 today, man.
Yep. It'll be fine. It's just texture.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
I think the very first sweater I made was just basic stockinette, except it had like kind of like a rib running along one of the 2 shoulders running all the way down.
Oh, okay.
And on just one of the rows, towards the end of the row, I kind of, instead of going back to stockinette, I did a garter stitch for those 5 stitches there and didn't even realize it. And, completed my entire sweater. And it's like bang in the middle of the sweater. It's like right there. And I realized it only when I was seaming it. So I'm like going like, why, what is this weird stitch out here? And at that time, it was like I wasn't too familiar with all the stitches as such. And I was like, what have I done here? What has made this happen?
Oops.
Yeah, but I left it there. That's the signature of, it's handmade.
Yep. Just leave
What
it.
it was.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I just counted my rows quickly and I'm doing okay. But I thought that I had skipped my buttonhole row. That would have made me really sad.
Oh yeah, you have buttonholes in that, right?
I do. Every 30 rows or so, I have to put buttonholes in, which is just big enough that you can't really eyeball it.
Yeah. And how are the buttonholes done? Are they just like knit two together and
yarn over
kind
and knit two together, which messes up the seed stitch pattern.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Not that I have feelings about that. I tried, so the first row I did, let's see, can you see it? The first buttonhole I did was here, and you can see this little stack of knits.
Stitches, yep.
And that bothered me so much that for the next buttonhole, you can kind of see here.
Yeah.
I tried to do it that it would fall in line with the seed stitches. I feel like this buttonhole is smaller.
Yeah, it might be.
So
because
I don't know what I'm going to do on the next buttonhole row. Maybe all of the buttonholes will be different.
And you can put different buttons, whichever fits through the hole.
So yeah, I feel like the ones that keep the seed stitch pattern don't look as neat as buttonholes, don't look as obvious as buttonholes. You kind of have to pull it apart a little bit to find it. So I might just go back to the standard buttonhole and be like, that's what the pattern said.
But the buttons do loosen up over time as well. So they will become pretty obvious after a few uses, I think.
Yeah. Well, and you don't really notice that little stack of knit stitches unless you're looking for it. Yeah. And you're putting a button over it anyway. So
yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. We'll see what happens when I start the next row.
I have a feeling it's because it's like a row of stockinette stitches and it kind of curls. It makes the hole look bigger.
That could be. I think it has to do with I did a yarn over and purl two together instead of yarn over and knit two together. So I feel like the distance that the yarn had to travel for the yarn over is just a tiny bit shorter.
Shorter, okay.
Or something. I would think going yarn over to a purl would actually make it bigger. So I don't know. I don't know.
It'll be fine either way. The baby will not care.
The baby absolutely will not care. And I don't think the baby's parents will care either. Maybe they will if they watch this podcast and they hear about this. I don't think they're going to, though. If they do, hi, KK.
Maybe years down the line, the baby will watch it and going like, I think she's talking about my blanket.
That would be fantastic.
I'm making so much progress on these socks. I'm so happy.
Yay. They're so bright and happy. I love them.
They're very bright. They wake me up every time I sit and knit on them.
That's good. It's better than your knitting putting you to sleep.
Yeah, for sure. But now I don't have anything else to watch. So I think the progress on the socks is just going to like die because there's no Squid Games left. Though I have started watching YouTube videos on hidden things in the show, which you might have missed. Deep dive into the show.
I love how into Squid Games you're getting.
I know, and it's something I would never watch. And but still, there are things in it that they are pointing to. Well, there was some YouTube channel which was recommending shows like it, or
Oh.
different Korean dramas and shows which kind of have that same kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
So I might be exploring some of that. The only thing is that most of it is going to be with subtitles and
Yeah.
that stuff.
I mean, once you watch all of the secret things,
Mhm.
then you go back and you watch Squid Game again, right?
Yeah.
Then you can see all the secret things and how it adds to the story or not or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm already ready to watch it again, actually. I just feel I need to wait a little bit. Because the minute I see a video in which they say something that I missed, I'm like, oh, I need to watch the show again.
Oh, that's funny. I just finished watching The Librarians.
Hmm.
That's on Hulu. And I enjoyed it. I was not as into it as you are about this, though. It was not as pressing to watch the next episode. So now I'm also kind of on the hunt for something new to watch. I started rewatching Psych. I haven't I haven't watched Psych in a really long time. And I uh I've seen the first couple of seasons several times because I love that show. But since the show ended with season 8, I haven't watched it all straight through again. And I haven't watched the 2 movies that came after. And I felt like I want to watch the entire show before I watch the movies.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to work on that. But since I have seen the first 2 seasons so much, I don't feel as compelled to have to
Yeah.
watch another episode, have to watch another episode.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying getting back in touch with it. And I'm really tempted to bring back my Psych colorways. So no guarantees that's going to happen. But the more I watch it, the more I think about it.
Yeah.
But I
I
need
have
a new
started.
addicting show.
Yeah. The thing that I've started rewatching is Seinfeld because it started on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I'm already past the first 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like noise in the background. Like I don't
Yeah.
sit and watch it. I'll be doing 10 million things around the house or cleaning or whatever, and it's just
Yeah.
going on. And it's that kind of a show because I've watched it so many times. I don't need to watch it. And then the other thing that we have been watching is called The Midwife.
Oh, okay.
It is like Rima is really enjoying it. I'm kind of enjoying it. It's the amount of yelling that happens during childbirth which really goes like like
Is a
oh
little
please.
grating.
Yeah, it's like why every episode. And
Because
yes,
there
I
are babies
understand
that need to be born.
exactly. And but it has its charming moments of a simpler time.
Yep.
And because I think it's like 1950s based or something like that.
Yeah.
And but the whole the scene, the clothing, um just the simple like now with kids you need to Google and find out what the best bed, the best stroller, the best everything for your kid is. And over there, it's like parents have left their kids in the stroller outside a shop while
Oh,
they are shopping.
geez.
It's like this whole other extreme where it's like, huh? Why
Wow.
did she do that? You're like, oh, so that you would get some sun.
Oh, my God. That hurts me deep inside.
Yes, it does. I'm like, okay. So, and of course, the women who are waiting to see the doctor are sitting in this waiting room, all pregnant, and they're all smoking, or
Oh,
majority
my
of them are
God.
smoking, which just feels like so wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it feels like, you know, They didn't know any better. So,
Yep. A whole different time.
mhm.
I haven't ever seen Call the Midwife, but I know everybody who I know who has seen it has liked it. I know
Yeah.
my mom watched it all the way through. I'm pretty sure David's mom watched it all. But I don't know, it hasn't ever really called out to me.
Yeah, I kind of watch it. It like goes on in the background while Reba is watching it, and I'm usually focused on my knitting or scrolling through Instagram while watching it. That's still not, it's not bad though.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that it's really well done.
Yeah. Cool. Do we have anything else to talk about?
I think that's about it.
Then we should wrap it up.
Okay. I'll let you say the thing this time since I stole it from
What?
you last time.
What do we say? Okay, if you like our podcast, follow it, subscribe, press that bell icon to get notifications. Instagram links in the comments below. Follow us on Instagram, and there you'll be able to see the pictures of all the things that we talk about
Yeah.
all the time.
And pictures of my cat
Yes.
and pictures of your dog.
And pictures of my dog watching Bollywood movies.
That was amazing. That made my morning. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Totally.
We're
worth
not
it to
inserting
go
that
my-
picture here. If you want to see
No.
Casper watching Bollywood movies, you have to check out Charan's Instagram.
Yes. Totally engrossed. Yeah. Anyway, that's all from me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.